Well, hello, everybody. Welcome. To those of you who are here live, welcome, welcome, welcome. Thank you for being here and co-creating this with me. And to those who are watching the replay, wherever you're watching the replay, welcome. This is what I'm calling an enchanted encounter. And it's one of those things, as often my projects and ideas spark up, that just sort of drops in from the ether. And then I tend to it for a little bit. And then I'm like, okay, what does this want to be? And um, it really wants to be a space where we get to drop our shoulders back, take a breath, take several breaths, um, feel the connection of other people, spark each other with our energy. Although I'll be doing all of the, I'll be pouring all of it over. You just get to receive. And the only agenda is really for us um, to sit, and to talk through some things, get re-inspired, gain another access point to our inner realm and our inner world, um, so that we can not only weather all of the bumpy times that we've been having or are going to continue to have. It's going to get bumpier. Um, but we get to always have a choice, right? And so the idea of really like deepening into our own understanding of your own sense of magic, your courage, your inspiration, your spiritual health, right? That, really pouring the soul medicine into your heart. And then from that point, like creating a pause that so then we can sort of close the symbolic door, sit in a space where we cultivate that magic a little bit further, deeper, allow it to unfurl, to expand, to keep, stretching its wings, to maybe gain some new perspectives, to shift out of old modes. And then we can open the symbolic door again as we emerge out into our life, out into the world that we interact with every day, and have perhaps a renewed sense of what's possible and what, our beliefs are. I'm going to pause our intro music here. So I have a bit of a flow for what gets to happen today, and it'll really be mostly me just sharing some things with you guys and engaging you. Again, if you're here live, amazing. Feel free to chat throughout the time we're together, to engage with each other, to mention things. But it's just going to be like me, you know, pouring out some light into the ether. And then I'm going to just provide you with some prompts and some juicy pieces where you can feel like you can take a load off, just sort of sit in contemplation. Um, we can sit in the mystery. We can sit in the enchantment. The idea of really calling in enchantment amongst and amidst the chaos and the hardship of whatever we're living individually and whatever is happening collectively is really potent. And it's not about looking away from what's happening, but rather it's about, engaging with what's happening around us and, having the clarity and the composure and the breath within ourselves enough to not only face it and weather the storm, but to actually keep the light on and keep the light on for ourselves and for others. So I'm going to read. This is something I wrote. It's how I define walking in magic. So I thought for this and other encounters, because I have a feeling this will become a thing. I'm following the spidey senses that guide me. So we'll open up with this to set the tone. So just take a breath, and feel into the words and how they might land in your heart. Walking in magic is a courageous and visionary act, a dedication to oneself and the belief in what you can accomplish, not in the realm of traditional success, but in the realm of your essence. It is an understanding of your active participation in the creative act itself, your understanding of the sacred duty to honor your inner compass, your understanding of how you are an integral part of the fabric and frequency of the world. It is a conscious act of surrender and a devotion to deeper truths. It is an act of valor in the face of cynicism, a revolution of optimism, joy, and freedom amidst the chaos. Chaos itself is an agent of change. You shed the victim paradigm, replaced by creative exploration and a willingness to grow. You believe in your ability to both sit with and transform the energy around you. It is a movement from passive to engaged, from apologetic to radically radiant. It is the art form of the creatrix, a real life quest which elevates and grounds us, connecting us to an everlasting web of belief and optimism, and of pain and possibility. By walking your own path of magic, you develop the courage to be seen for who you truly are and what you were made for. And so it is. Amen. However you want to like stamp that. I wrote this as I was redoing my website months and months and months ago. And I was like, this is, I talk about walking in magic often. It's the name of my Patreon. It's something that I've been working with and understanding what that means and what is the frequency of that. Like, it's not just a title of a thing, but it has its own intention, which I believe all of our creative acts do. So in this space of enchanted encounters, we can tap into that essence of magic, spirit, God, goddess, energy, source, love, light, whatever it is that we want to call it. May it all find its space here to intermingle, interweave. The more we can like dissolve whatever barriers are. And the greatest antidote I have found is just a curiosity, innate curiosity, right? So that all of that can become part of your own story and your flavor of what you want to bring into the world. Today, on our first encounter, we get to sit under this full moon in Capricorn, which really is an unusual moon, which, like I wrote in my last email, it's unusual because it's the second full moon in Capricorn that we have this year. So it's known as a blue moon. It's also known as the buck moon, the thunder moon. We'll talk about Capricorn in a second. It's also special, and I've talked about this on YouTube and in my Patreon audios before. The fact that we began this year with a new moon in Capricorn, we are ending this year with a new moon in Capricorn, and right in the middle, so we have those two bookends of 2024, and right in the middle, we have this moment in time, right? So this moon today, the air is like thick with change. Today was a day of change. And this was before, certain things happened in the news, which obviously was like, I was literally talking to a good friend about this. She messaged me and she was like, what is going on with this moon? Because I'm like having a meltdown. And I was like, well, these are some of the themes. And she's like, oh yeah, and this just happened. And I was like, well, because it's written in the stars. And the fact is that whatever is going down in terms of the specifics and where you fall and what your belief is around that realm, we don't have to separate ourselves for it, because I believe there's a thread of you that is going to fulfill your civic duty of, understanding what you believe in and what you want to create for, in our case, the United States and whatever country. I have beautiful friends and audience members all over the world. So regardless of the belief system, it is a day of profound change. It is a moment in time of change. This moon in Capricorn, so some of the themes that what we are releasing big time, these three words kept coming up for me. Doctrine, dogma, capitalism, yes, but mostly doctrine and dogma. What do those mean for you? Like anything that's dogmatic, what is a doctrine? Anything that feels authoritative, anything that feels like it's set in stone, anything that feels like it's kind of like constricted. Those are the shadow aspects of Capricorn. And one of the major players in terms of the big evolutionary cycles that we go through, Pluto, um, was in Capricorn for a number of years. And as he was nearing the end of Capricorn, we started to see a lot of sort of the crunch of um, the everything, the patriarchy, doctrine, dogma, like all of these themes, right? It's like these institutional, rigid themes. They're very Capricornian. With Pluto there, it's like just squeezing out. So what happened is earlier this year, we had the move from Pluto into Aquarius, just dipping his toe. And then what happened? Well, he went retrograde and moved back. He's sitting at the 29th degree of Capricorn. By the way, conjunct this full moon. Welcome to the poetry of the stars. Because you can't make this stuff up. So here we have this full moon where we are releasing something that has run its course in the realm of dogma. And how that will continue. And of course, these pulses happen. And they then, especially the big ones that have to do with sort of these big cycles, they take their time to like figure themselves out. Pluto will remain in the very last degree of, again, of Capricorn until I believe it's November 19 when he moves into Aquarius for good for many hundreds of years. So the stage is set for a bumpy ride ahead. The end of this year into next year. I've always said, and I'll repeat here, astrology is not about divination. It's more about revelation. It's more about understanding and co-creating with those cycles. So we don't have to look at it from a perspective of doom and gloom, but rather like evolutionary perspective. And when we learn how to ride those cosmic waves and sort of identify them and feel into them, we get to work with a whole different language that is very beautifully, I think, empowering and illuminating for whoever's drawn to the language of the stars. So dogma, doctrine, institutions, all of that. I want to read something that I wrote today. This I wrote personally, but I was like, oh, I want to share it because you might be able to take something from it. As I was, I have my mom in town, which is beautiful. We created these candles today. We picked stickers and, printed them out and put them on these pillar candles. Came out really beautiful. So I lit my candle and then I wrote this. By the light of this full moon, I release the pressures of doctrine and dogma. So my invitation to you is to just be an inquiry of what that means. What are the pressures of doctrine and dogma? Anything that felt institutionalized in your own life. Anything that's felt like it has to be this way. And so that's, I renew my sense of hope and my deep belief in magic. I close a chapter of non-sacred living that leaks energy. So I close any chapter of non-sacred living that is currently leaking energy. That is my request of what I'm declaring as my willingness, right? It's like when we write these things out, it's basically like writing a spell. It is not just like a prayer and a request, like, please do this for me. I see it really as a willingness to step into the realm of what this means, which naturally then lights up my curiosity of, oh, because this is like part automatic writing. So sometimes I'm like, what did that come through? And we're all capable of that. And we're going to try that out in a little bit. So I close a chapter of non-sacred living that leaks energy. So think about what that might be for you. And open a new frequency of possibility and an engagement with new visions. So an engagement with new visions. That's, something else for me to play with. I feel secure in my power. I call myself back. I turn my gaze within and land in that soft place that knows all truths. Only then will I turn my gaze outward and connect in sacred purpose with the world around me. The times we're living, we've been working with, for those who have been following along, the North Node in Aries. North Node in Aries is the me, is who am I? Who am I? Who am I? Who am I? That's going to continue happening until January, where we will have a big shift in that collective North Star. But for now, we've been working on that. And we passed the 1 year mark of working with that energy in June. And so you can almost probably feel in your own life certain things that have shifted around, relationships that have purged, big changes that have already transpired. And you're sort of like in this like almost like mid-flight, like, and it's hard to tap into what's happening next. That's part of the mystery. And the more we open ourselves to walking in magic and enchanted encounters and conversations, we are basically declaring to the universe, I want to tap in more into the mystery. And the mystery is mysterious. It's unknown. It feels like you're untethered. So a big part of it, and it continues to be my belief, and I get clearer and clearer, the biggest part of walking in your magic, like your desire for really, I'm going to say really intimate and profound spiritual encounters, inner conversations and outer conversations, not only with people, but with nature, with the universe, it's about lessening the discomfort around the unknown, really, because in that liminal space in between is where we're going to play and where we're going to create new things. And so think about it this way, when we're in the process of releasing, because we want to open space, when we do release and then that space is open, what could be our immediate thought, not thought, but our immediate sort of like instinct is to fill it up, because it feels really tender and vulnerable to have that open space. But that is precisely the open space that not calls in the more, but like is open to the more, the else, and not more in terms of like acquire more, but deeper, maybe we can say. So the idea of, I really found this very profound, and it is something that I work on consistently, and I bring again a lot of curiosity to, and all the moments where I can practice this is that turning my gaze inward, first and foremost, always. And then, and only then, do I turn my gaze outward and engage with the world. In my view, that is the most responsible way to live. In my view, that is, if we were to talk about in the realm of like creatrix consciousness, right, where we know that we are creating the world around us, everything that I read about the courage to walk that requires this very vulnerable internal exploration. And I know that anybody who's watching this and sitting with me right now feels it and desires it. And so we get to continue to create these spaces to give that more life, importance, and have it be a foundational act that sets the tone, like a platform for the rest of your life. And then we get to turn our gaze outward, under like, and that's going to take, it's going to look different for all of us. Honor your own cycles, honor your own rhythms. And it's not an easy shift to make, because we've been so conditioned to do it the other way. And we've been really squished under this big imaginary, very heavy thumb that has kept us thinking under the illusion that way of engaging with the world is not the correct one. Does that make sense? Yeah. So yeah, lots of cycles that are completing. Oh, we always say that. And it's always like, every time I hear this, I'm like, well, am I going to say one more time that a friggin' cycle is completing? Come on. It's like, really? And so it's like, well, it is all the cycles. So the chaos and the light and the it's just all keeps going, and it keeps, whether we want to see it as a spiral or it just keeps like, you know, it's getting used to that is great. And as a practical step to understand and work with those cycles a little bit better, because our brain does need something to like chew on, and that's where the practical things come in. That's why I'm such a big believer in working with the moons, because every 2 weeks you can have an assignment from the universe, a beautiful assignment of like a certain theme or something, that, oh, okay, here we go. It's like entering a classroom. And so here we are in this classroom of Capricorn. And I want to touch really quickly into, again, in this sort of astrology overview, um, Leo season begins tomorrow. Tomorrow is July 22nd. Leo season is an incredibly beautiful, vibrant moment in time. Could not come at a better moment. Am I right? Like, give me some sunshine, right? Some metaphorical, symbolic sunshine. And then in 2 weeks' time, we'll have the new moon in Leo, which is on August 4th. So I would really like have, hold anything that you are going to sort of plant in new soil. I want it to be blessed by the sun, blessed by the courageous heart of Leo energy. Really set your sights on that August 4th moment in time. But tomorrow we get to begin to taste Leo season. And I wanted to bring an example of how all of our belief systems can be woven together into your own um, walking in magic path. Tomorrow is also the Mary Magdalene feast day. And I have to bring her up because I've been working very closely with Mary Magdalene for a number of years. She's been a wonderful source of courage and power and inspiration for me. Very incredibly interesting archetype to work with. Tomorrow is her feast day, and it's the start of Leo season. That is so devastatingly beautiful because it shows you how we can weave multiple streams of spiritual insight together. And a big part of Mary Magdalene's teachings and her energy has to do with having a courageous heart. A heart is literally part of her, her symbol. It's a cross, heart, and an anchor. So the heart connection between Leo and Mary Magdalene is like incredible. So just an example of how really potent and beautiful. And then of course, there we can work with the wheel of the year, and we can work with, it's just all becomes your own definition. And the more we can really look at it with that sense of beautiful purpose and intention, the better. So I would love to do a quick writing. I hope everybody has like something to write with, any piece of paper. I'm going to give you guys a couple of prompts. Let me find them. Do, 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 do. Where are they? And if you have any thoughts or anything else that you want to pop in the comments, go for it. I welcome them. I welcome them all. Okay. I can't find another one that I wrote, but it was basically, I'll come up with it on the spot because it's basically this. And it has to do with the calling back our power. So one of the things I'll leave us with when we gather is like a mantra for the week. And this one is connected to Mary Magdalene because I got it from one of the decks that I have, Megan Watterson decks. And so the mantra, you can write this down, is I call myself back from all times and all places. And this is connected to, okay, so going back to the full moon, also known as the buck moon, this moon has a big connection to Artemis because the buck and the moon and, She's this very independent, clever spirit. Again, one of the other archetypes, goddesses that I work with most closely, that I've always been drawn to. And so this idea of calling yourself back, this idea of honoring yourself and the wildness, and what I wrote in my email about like the feral inklings, the feral inklings that can feel so dangerous to tap into. If we go back again to the cosmic poetry going on, we also have Black Moon Lilith that recently entered Libra for 9 months. We've just had the South Node in Libra purging out anything that has to do with imbalance in relationships. And here comes Black Moon Lilith, who is it is known as sort of the dark side of the feminine. Dark because it's the stuff that we hold back because we're too afraid to share with the world. So anything in the realm of shame or anything like that is for Black Moon Lilith, is to work with Black Moon Lilith. She's an incredibly powerful force to understand both in your chart and what's happening astrologically. So the prompt for us to write something, and you can write just a quick few lines, or maybe you want to write a quick poem. You don't have to be a poet to write a nice little poem. And it's basically, I call myself back because that's the first one. I call myself back because, and really dig in and use, the idea of wherever you're feeling that feels most like maybe triggered, maybe angry, maybe the chaos and the unrest. Like from that, great things can be born, because we basically hit the bottom. We hit the bottom of what we thought was possible. And this is something that I know so, so well. I speak from this deepest experience in my own life. And so getting to that point is incredibly powerful, can make for the most potent magic. So why the F do you have to call yourself back? Yeah, like give it a bit of an edge if you need to. Or make it super tender and soft and that allow anything that wants to be like expelled, and the safety of your own inner realm. You can be honest with yourself. And what I'll do is I'll weave in here the meditation. So I'm going to pop in our music again. And as you can continue writing. How's that audio level? No? Is that better? Yeah, somewhat. No sound. Okay, bear with me. No? Nothing? Yeah, better? Okay. And my voice is still okay? All right, thank you. So yeah, just keep writing and just listen, receive. Take a breath. Just think about the feeling of unwinding. What's the part of you, what the part in your body and your mind, your soul, your heart that feels most tight right now? And we're going to invite it to unwind. Begin to soften ever so gently. Just explore Maybe you have a usual sort of go-to spot in your body where you unwind. I want you to invite another one in. Like take it into a different realm and see what comes up. And what happens when you move your shoulders up and back? And then your heart, like center stage. What a paradox to soften, release, and become, and allow your heart to open. Where have you been holding yourself symbolically hunched over? Practice this week as you cross any threshold, bring your shoulders back and take a breath and keep going. Weave that into your daily practice and see what happens. How does it feel to lift your chin up ever so slightly? How does it feel to both focus on the task at hand and also bring a soft gaze to the world around you? Our minds may be feeling incredibly overstimulated, staticky, just so much. Not only recent stuff for the past few months, but we've just been carrying so much. So much. What's interesting, and I want you to breathe into this and notice your own sense in the participation of this, of what I'm about to say. I think we're moving into this beautiful turning point where a whole bunch of us are going to have a moment of like, maybe emergence is the right word, and it's quiet and it's subtle, that it's just gonna feel like something shifts, and it happens like that in a moment. In a moment. Take a deep breath in. Call in the energy of unfurling in your body. Unfurl. Unwind. What is your soul craving? What has your soul been craving? Call something to mind that has been bringing you joy. Something simple, something quite simple that's brought you joy. And let that very perhaps simple feeling expand. Allow yourself to bathe in that from the inside out. Are you feeling any sense of struggle to imbue yourself with that joy, with that love, with that peace? This could be nature. This could be anything where you just feel like, whatever that is for you. And if you notice any resistance in allowing yourself to imbue that within you, just bring, again, some curiosity to it. Why is that? You feel unworthy of it? You feel unprepared? You feel unimportant? Do you feel like you need more time in order to fully receive it? And when you think about emanating your light, your own light print, your own unique frequency of living, your life force, when you think about really just letting that emanate, just deciding to do it, just because, what does that bring up? Take a breath in. Are there any self-imposed restrictions that you've been putting on yourself? What feels sacred about your life right now? Where do you feel like you might be leaking energy? And how can you even look at that with love and curiosity? I invite you now just to intuitively call in a word that comes to your own mind. This will be your own very private experience. Whatever word first came up, don't question it, just trust it and go with it. And feel into the frequency of that word. No judgment. I invite you to bring all of your senses online to experience the frequency of that word. The word, of course, represents something. Taste it. Touch it. What does it feel like in your hands? What's the weight of it? Smell it. If this word became a beautiful cloak or a blanket, what color would it be? And how does it feel when you cover yourself with it? And now that you've covered yourself with this blanket, just take a moment to breathe and either sit or lie down symbolically in that beautiful, meditative, astral place that we've traveled to. And we'll hold space together for a couple of minutes and just see what comes up and feel into it. Remember to breathe. Remember to get curious. Invite your younger self into this inquiry as well. Maybe you want to cuddle up with them under this blanket. Hold them tight and breathe together. What is that soft place within you that knows all truths? Ever so gently, and continuing to breathe, we'll begin to tiptoe back into reality. Carrying with you whatever sense of peace, release, questions, nothingness, even. Nothingness is so sacred. Space. You can begin to slowly, as you're ready, open your eyes. If you want to stay there, that's fine too. We're beginning to wrap up our time. I want to remind us of our mantra, I call myself back from all times and all places. I have another bonus mantra, which I found so good. You ready for this? Old enough to know better, young enough to do it anyway. Boom. Is that not a lesson for life? Old enough to know better. Yeah, what is the wisdom you've already collected? And young enough to do it anyway, regardless of where you are in your current life journey. And then I will share with you, actually, before I do this, because I'd love each of you to give us a gift. So in the comments, just pop in a couple of words. It's something that you want to give as an offering. Imagine that we're all sitting around a circle and you want to offer a word, quick couple words, and just pop them into the comments, and I'll read them for everybody, whoever's here in person. The radiance of life shining through. Deep gratitude for this grounding and expansive reminder of who I am and what I am capable of creating. Release the grasping. Put that on a t-shirt. Honor authentic self. Letting go of overbearing sense of responsibility. Boom and boom. Overbearing sense of responsibility. Yes. Have been feeling the energies of local trees. May everyone have an encounter to connect to the network of tree grace and energy. That sounds like beautiful homework for all of us this week. Thank you for that. Bless this full moon for the deliciousness of waking in love and light and being seen. Straight to the heart. Thank you. Are we missing anybody? I think we're complete with our beautiful group here. Thank you for all of those offerings. I feel them. We all feel them. So I have one more quote that I want to leave you guys with. And it says, "The world is full of magic things, patiently waiting for your senses to grow sharper." Perhaps you've heard it before. It's by William Butler Yeats. The world is full of magic things, patiently waiting for your senses to grow sharper. And with that, we will complete this enchanted encounter. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. All my love and gratitude, and I hope to see you again soon. Be well, my friends. Bye.